the location of the church, especially in built-up areas. When I say built-up areas, I'm talking about location where there are a lot of concrete buildings around, not many trees or bushes to kind of buffer the heat with some cool breeze or some shade. Please take these into consideration because you don't want, in the act of trying to pay respects to the life of a deceased, you end up with a situation where individuals who are in attendance at that service either has to be hospitalized for a heat stroke or worse. So I'm just asking us, everyone, during this time, both funeral directors and both those who are planning funeral, and I'm not trying to take away from the fact that you want to pay adequate respect to your loved ones. I'm just asking that everyone please bear in mind the temperature during these times and let good sense prevail, because if you're going inside of a building that does not have air conditioning unit, and you are in close proximity to other buildings, taller buildings, then concrete buildings around, you really need to consider your length of stay in that particular location, because body heat plus the heat from the environment is a cruel thing, and it can be very cruel to you. Let me just pause to welcome my co-host and co-pilot, Mr. Errol Green. Yes, sir. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, good morning, good
And
morning.
before you came, Mr. Green, we just did a recap on the pre-arrangements as we have been discussing before, and then I segued into really trying to provide guidance to or the citizenry as we make plans for funeral services during these times. Because I know you have been
Right.
out there and you feel the heat
Yes, sir.
and you know what's going on. And when you're in a church service for 3 hours and then has to move to a cemetery in this heat, it is not something that is
Yeah,
wonderful.
it's really it's terrible out there. It's terrible out there, and a lot of our churches, to be honest with you, they're not air conditioned,
No, they don't have the air conditioning unit,
right? And so
and some don't have the ventilation either.
yeah, and let us even advise some of our church leaders who are hosting funerals, make a little extra preparation for this time. Put in some kind of cooling devices, yeah, that will, because at the end of the day, they're offering a service. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're offering a service.
But what I also want to say, Mr. Green, to individuals during this time, you might want to consider planning the services for an earlier time in the day,
Yes, sir.
morning services, because mornings are actually cooler than afternoon.
Right.
So I know we like to do things a little bit later because of convenience and because you want full attendance, and then somebody can go to work and leave half day. I'm aware of all of these, friends. But the same is true. If we have morning services, the person can ask to come into work a little later.
Yeah, and Mr. Maitland, a lot of people, you see, because Jamaicans, we are customary to Saturdays and Sunday funerals, a lot of people don't know that funeral can held during the week. So
Well,
it don't have to be Saturdays and Sundays, you understand?
well, COVID taught us that, Mr. Green. But seeing that things are opening up now, I know individuals want to go back to the traditional Saturday and Sunday. But the thing again with Saturday and Sunday, and friends, as we provide the guidance for you here on Final Decision, as we provide the guidance for you, we're not saying we're compelling you to go by what we say, but it's just guidance that we want for you to apply as you make your plans, your preparation. In the week, the cemeteries are less congested. You have less persons going into the cemetery to do burials.
Right.
On a weekend, you have to contend with several other funeral services going on in the same location at the same time.
Yes.
And I want to reiterate and I want to ask that when you are doing your plannings for funerals during this time, again, I can't overstate it. Go for morning services.
Right.
Go for morning services.
It's much cooler.
It's much cooler in the morning. Much cooler in the morning. So by the time you get to mid morning, you get to 11, 12 o'clock when things start getting hot. It's time to wind down, to leave the service and to go to the cemetery. But when you have a funeral for say 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, that is in the heat.
Yeah, Mr. Maitland, and you're giving some real good advice there because going through a grieving process,
Mm-hmm.
right? Grieving, and sometimes it comes with many different things. It have some serious side effects. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And you don't want, we wouldn't like for a family to be grieving, everyday grieving, yeah, in that kind of heat,
And because of exhaustion,
right?
that adds to the possibility of you, suffering heat stroke or something
Right.
like that. Friends, again, stay hydrated. So forgive me if I'm segueing a little bit from the funeral aspect of things to the health aspect of things, but the heat is on. Stay hydrated, and you maybe have heard it so many times before. Drink more water and less sugary drinks. So less soft drink, less alcohol, less drink with sugar, more water.
Uh,
And if you want to deviate from that, you can try coconut
a lot
water.
of people say they don't like what. A lot of people don't drink water, Mr. Maitland.
I know that, but
But
that's not
this
healthy.
time, no, it's not what you like. It's what good for
But
you,
it's good for you.
right? It's what best for you. So we are here to give you guidelines. We are here to give you information. Can make you can able you to make better decisions,
Right.
right? And understand more of what happened in the funeral industry and how to go about things at this time. So as Mr. Maitland take time out to inform you about the eat and those are some real good information for a time such as this.
All right. The other thing that I want to say, Mr. Green, is that we need to pay attention to what we wear. Generally, darker colors, especially black, tend to draw heat. And of course, we know black is associated with mourning. Um, I am happy though that somewhat we are kind of moving away from the norm of wearing black to funeral, but we're light. What they say, pastel shades.
Right.
Yeah, we're lighter color, and we're breathable fabric. We're not seeing that. You should go to the people in church half naked.
Mr. Maitland, I'm glad to that point, because to be honest with you, as a funeral director, I've seen it happen almost at every funeral you go.
Right.
People intend to dress half naked, and at this time where the heat is on, we are saying to you, please, means you must go more naked.
But can I say something to you though? Having parts of your body being exposed to the elements, to the sun, is also as dangerous as being overdressed. So it is important that you are covered, because having your natural skin being exposed to all of this UV ray can be as harmful as being
Covered.
as being overdressed. And so we're saying to you, dress lightly. Wear pastel shades. Where possible, men, if you don't have to go with the tie and the jacket, go in an open front shirt, and ladies, I know most churches don't go with the sleeveless.
Right.
But you can, if you're going to be taking part in the service, you can wear something to cover over that sleeveless. But try as best as possible to ensure that you're comfortably and safely dressed. Comfortably means that you're comfortable in what you're wearing. Not just because it fits you or fits your body, but you're comfortable. You can move around, you can move about, you can bend, you can stand, you can do whatever. And you're not exposing body parts. So you're comfortable in what you're wearing. And also you are safe in what you're wearing. Let me explain the safe part now. Safe part, you are not exposing body parts to the elements, nor are you wearing colors or you're wearing a material that brings excess heat on your body. So while you're attending funeral services, while you're paying final respects, as best as possible, be aware of the environment. And the same way that we don't want you to be in one particular location that is especially not very cool for too long, is the same way we don't want you to be in clothes that is not safe enough for you for too long. We know, hands down, funerals in Jamaica tend to go 2 hours or more.
Or more.
And remember that when you're attending a service, you are prepared for the long haul, because in Jamaica we go to the service, then we go to the burial, then we go to the repast, and the time is very hot. So whatever you're wearing, you are gonna be in that for at least 6 to 7 hours,
Mr. Maitland.
or much more, because if you're traveling distances to the funeral service, that as well.
Mr. Maitland, you might not want to touch that part, But we can ask some of the preachers them still, to cut back a little bit time because you have some preachers, you know, Mr. Maitland. If they don't preach for 1 hour, you know, a 1 hour sermon at a funeral, you know, they don't feel like they start to preach.
I know that. I know that, Mr. Green. But and with that also, I want to also say to individuals, here is an easier way to do stuff. We know that when somebody dies, almost everyone wants to say something, wants to pay tribute.
Right.
Here is a workaround. You see that service that we usually keep on the evening before the service, before the actual funeral service. We call it, some people call it setup, some persons have prayer meeting or dead yard. You can actually have some of the tributes done there, you know.
Yeah, because I did a funeral 2 weeks ago, and when I look at the program or the program setup, I advise the family to have a tribute section at the dead yard, and it works very well because a lot of people who would love to say something will not given the privilege at the church, and some people are not really, you know, probably bold enough to go to the church and say something, but in that setting at the dead yard, it gives them more courage, you know what I mean?
Right.
And some people really, really want to pay their respect.
And if it's the type of program that is gonna be a lengthy program, you can say to some individuals, all right, we won't be able to facilitate you at the church based on the time that we are working with. However, we'd like for you on the evening before at this particular time to come and give your tribute. Because I mean, paying the tribute, then at least the family is there to hear and appreciate what you're saying. So I know, friends, I know, culture. We love sit at the funeral where everybody is. We love that.
I know much more people at the yard.
That's what I want to say.
It's a bit of a give tribute to that.
That's what I want to say.
Because more people, you know,
Exactly.
will be there to, you know, to hear what you have to say about
Exactly.
that person.
But somehow we love the official, you know, official thing where persons are there and you can say what you want to say in the funeral setting. But the fact is, you have to be very, very wise in what you're doing, especially in these times. And we don't only want for you to have a good send-off. We want for you to have a safe program and want for you to do things sensibly so that you are sustained. And I'm appealing to those who are in the hearing of my voice. You don't need to go 3 hours in a church, especially a church in a built-up area, especially a church where there are little to no trees, where there is little ventilation, where there's no air condition. You do not need to be going 3-4 hours. You do not need to wear the typical black to services or dark colors. Dark colors naturally draw heat. We don't want for you to suffer from heat stroke or anything relating to the heat because, friends, it is wicked.
Yeah, man, and one of the major prevention, Mr. Maitland, also, you see, time management for funeral is very important because if we are going to try to prevent the heat and all of that, and you plan for a morning service for 11 o'clock or at 10 o'clock, you have to try and be there for 10 o'clock.
Starting on time.
Starting on time.
I don't know if your experience has been like mine. What I find, Mr. Green, is that with most services, the people are there waiting on the family to come.
Mr. Maitland, from me starting this industry, it has been like that. The family, most of the time, they are the last one to be there. And sometimes if the family don't see the earth pass, you know,
They're not going to start getting ready.
they don't start get ready.
Especially in the rural area.
And what I realize is like sometimes they have to be, you have scheduled for a 12 o'clock funeral. And when you just reach 11 o'clock in the family say, and I read 12 o'clock in the 1 o'clock, but because we want them to come early. No, you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that, man.
You don't have to do that, you know?
Plan the time, keep to the time, and please, you need to develop. We need to develop this culture where we respect
time.
person's time.
Respect, because the pastor have other things to do.
Not only the pastor, but the attendants.
Yeah, the attendants, right.
Also, because if you say to me, you're inviting me to an 11 o'clock function, and I'm sitting there until 1 o'clock, that is very, very unfair to
Mr.
me.
Milan, very important point, man. We have to respect other people's time because these people take time out of their busy schedule to come and give you support.
Right.
To come and share with you in your moment, right? And stand beside you and support you. So, you know, if they are going to make that effort to be there by that time, what about you? You're supposed to respect that.
That is disrespect.
You know?
To have some person sitting there for 2 hours and then you're going to say to them, you really meant 1 o'clock, but you put 12 on the program.
Yeah, that's not respect.
And,
you know?
and we know the standard is that when we say 12, the body will lie in state, or the human remains will lie in state an hour before. and there are persons who deliberately come at 11 or at the within that hour because they want for you to they want sometimes to greet you.
Right.
They want to be seated. They want to be comfortable. They want to benefit from aspects of the program. And if you have individuals sitting there waiting for you an hour and a half, 2 hours, that is disrespect to the individuals who actually came to mourn with you. And so I'm asking, we are here beseeching you, especially during this time, be mindful of the heat. One, be mindful of the fact that when you're making your preparations, the time that you give to individuals is the time that you intend to start the program, because you don't want to have persons sitting in a church that does not have AC and sometimes fans for 2 hours, for not even for 50 minutes, Mr.
Yes,
Green.
Mr. Min. And also, when you planned a funeral for 12 o'clock, we, the funeral home, we expect the pastor going to start at 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do, we try to come an hour earlier. We try to be there for 11 o'clock. Right? So, the guests, they can come and view their loved one.
And family can have their personal
time.
Right.
So when you're going to plan for a 12 o'clock funeral, right, and you're going to reach your 12:15 and expect to get half an hour viewing or 45 minutes viewing.
Or an
hour. That gone over into 1 o'clock,
Right.
Right, when some people are thinking of leaving the funeral service.
All right. So in essence, friend, because the time is almost at hand, I see that we have a little under 2 minutes. In essence, what we're asking you, in the elements right now, in the heat, be mindful of the timing of the funeral service. Aim for morning services rather than afternoon services. Be careful of how you dress. Pastel shades, lighter colors. Yes, you are hot, but try to cover your skin. You don't want to be exposing your skin to the UV rays. Be mindful of other person's time and respect other person's time. As best as possible, where you have a lengthy program, see if you can have individuals do some of the tributes from the night before when you have that meeting, that set up, that dead yard, and keep the program at a minimum, a respectable, reasonable time where individuals can come, have a good service, leave within a reasonable time, and not suffer from exhaustion. Again, this is your mid-morning program, Final Decision. We thank you so much for joining us today again. Look forward to seeing you on Monday. I am Mark Maitland from the Garden of Paradise Funeral Home. I can be contacted at 876-870-5848 or 876-327-9729. And as always with me,
Errol Green from Exodus Funeral Home, and I can be contacted at 1-876-845-3528. That is 1-876-845-3528. Thank you very much.
Because it came to pass. See you on Monday.